For a Western filmmaker, their films can serve as their own personal portraits of America. It's their chance to paint a picture of what America means to them, to show the American West as they want it to be remembered. So we never forget what really happened, or who was really there. What's really American, or un-American, whatever that means. They get to choose the tone and the spirit and what to worry about and maybe what not to worry about. But in the end, it's their account. It's their version of the truth. It's their portrait to paint. A portrait often painted in Technicolor or at 7/8 scale. A portrait often painted in blood or gold or gunpowder. It's a portrait painted of horses on film. Welcome to episode 4 of Horses on Film. I'm your host, Cameron Chapman. Here I am. And this is the podcast dedicated to figuring out what's the top 100 Westerns of all time. And, we're using as our guide the IndieWire list that was published in 2024 of their top 100 Westerns. From there, we're adding, subtracting, rejiggering the whole thing and reorganizing it into what we feel is the top 100 Westerns of all time. First of all, I want to start off with a little statement. I want to apologize to the families of all the celebrities we've murdered already in 3 episodes. Obviously, our intention is to not kill anyone on this show, but we're dealing with these movies that are 50, 60 years old, in some cases older, and some newer ones. We have, a lot of actors that are in their 80s and 90s now, or, many that are not with us anymore. But I feel bad. We talked about Graham Greene while we were prepping, and then we lost him. We talked about Robert Redford, and then the day after we recorded, he passed. Claudia Cardinal passed the day after we recorded the other episode. So yeah, we're trying to keep people alive for as long as we can here. But that saying, there's the Wild West. Things are going to happen. Shots will be fired. So Angie Dickinson, get your affairs in order. We're coming for you, basically. Get ready. And I'm going to bring in our co-host, Dave Scott. Before this podcast came along, had you murdered any celebrities before? Is that?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
I take the 5th.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad. It happens sometimes where a name comes into the zeitgeist, or somebody just, you have a conversation about somebody randomly, and then immediately they're in the news, and it's happening. Yeah, we're 3 for 3, which is, that's pretty good.
It's like you pointed out. I think it really is an age thing, but it also, I'm a little worried as these people pass on, the legacy of stuff like this will go. But the other side of it, I appreciate when it happens is like when Graham Greene passed, there was a lot of, here's how you find him. When Robert Redford, here's how you find him. And so some of these hidden gems get brought back up. But that being said, I would still prefer not to.
I did notice my letterbox was full of Robert Redford movies. A lot of people watching those over and over.
I did Spy Games.
So exactly.
I like Spy Games a lot. So
I saw Jeremiah Johnson and some of the stuff from this list popping up randomly. So yeah, you're right. Like, it does kind of remind you of them, kind of get you back into watching some of those things. And
Yeah.
You know, but you know, these are going to air a little later, so we'll have, you know, we'll kind of go through this again, but we're going to have to keep our eyes out on some of these older cast members to.
It's funny because there's so much overlap in cast. I feel like if we did one per episode, we might actually just get them all. It's just, and I'm like, please don't.
There's not going to be a lot left by the time we get through 100 movies. So last episode, The Tall T, we listed it at 14.5 out of 20. There was some 3.5s. I gave it a 4. So it now officially sits at number 2 behind Unforgiven, ahead of The Professionals. After this episode, we'll have our definitive top 4 for the first time, and we can adjust it from there. But yeah, it's what'd you guys think? Is that rating fair?
I think we gave it, so I think by definition, we think it's fair.
I don't think like it's. I think I do. The more I, so the problem I'm having with this genre is the more like as time goes on from watching it, the more I'm like soaking it in, actually enjoying it. But like my gut reaction most of the time was like, I don't like this. Like so, like it's just like. But yeah, I think I do still like the Tall T more than The Professionals. I do like The Professionals though. I actually like being third or second or first on this list is awesome. Like I feel like those movies might hold up compared, but I haven't watched much of it. So
yeah, I rank it. You know, Tall T. I would put on my list. I would put it above Unforgiven.
Oh, I would. Now you're on my list.
Yeah, but barely. I just you know, I said last week I really do love those Bedecker films, and it is really what I look for in a Western. And this one that we're covering today, Rio Bravo, it's an interesting kind of backstory. It kind of gets talked about a lot. I don't want to get too much into it. I kind of alluded to it in that little intro. It was sort of like a diss track to High Noon. When High Noon came out, it was very popular. It was very well reviewed, won awards. You know, famously, John Wayne accepted the award for Gary Cooper when he won Best Actor, and made a joke that he was going to fire his team for not getting him High Noon. That said, then, you know, years later in a famous interview with Playboy, he complained that it was un-American and that it was not, you know, and Howard Hawks, the director of Rio Bravo, also kind of railed against this very publicly, or against High Noon publicly. And Rio Bravo was their answer to that. And I'm trying to think, and I couldn't really come up with anything. Have you ever thought of another movie that was like a diss track, like a direct response movie? Is that something that has ever come up before?
I feel so like
it must exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because this is not because there's always like Heaven's Gate, maybe, where it's like I'm going to, not against a movie per se, but a studio or something, or like I can't help but feel that Paul Van Hoosen and what he's been doing. Yeah, that's right. I think that's right. Like Verhoeven, that's it.
Yeah.
But like for him, like I can't help but feel Showgirls might be actually on this list, and I can't.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. Like, you wouldn't see it from, like, say, Star Trek. Wouldn't, you know? Oh, I didn't like Rise of Skywalker, so we're gonna make like. Yeah. I wouldn't think that. Maybe DC Marvel. I don't know those.
There's definitely been. I wouldn't call it diss movies like the whole thing, but there's definitely been shots. The Teen Titans Go to the Movies is full of shots against Marvel, but, right down to having Stan Lee as a cameo.
And Deadpool does it every once in a while with don't make the suit green kind of stuff. But like
Godzilla did it.
98.
The 98 Godzilla got decanonized as Godzilla. He's now Zilla in, I think it was Attack of All Monsters. No, Battle for the Monster of All Monsters or something. I forget which one it was, but one of the later ones brought Zilla on as a very fast, easy kill for Godzilla.
Oh, interesting.
But they and it would just like boom, slap,
I feel like
gone.
Maybe in the like C and B movie tiers where like you get a lot less interference from like, it's $10,000 and some kids in the like woods. Like Evil Dead might have been like a response to something. I don't know, and we might not know, but
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not really an expert in this topic, but it just struck me as I wonder if you guys would know, horror movies feels like one where it's very possible, Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I can see
a light ribbon on each other kind of thing, but like
kind of like, I wish. I mean, even I wonder, like, I wouldn't say a diss track. I think it's more paying homage, where like Alien, The Thing, things like that, where they were like, okay, well, let's do our twist on it or whatever. But it's not usually because they dislike the original. It's usually because they like it,
like an homage. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Well, should we get into our feature presentation, Rio Bravo?
Yes,
if we must.
All right, let's do it.
If we must. We'll bring this
foreshadowing.
Turn on some mood music here. No quarter asked, no way in, no way out of Rio Bravo. A small-town sheriff in the American West enlists the help of a disabled man, a drunk, and a young gunfighter in his efforts to hold in jail the brother of the local bad guy.
All right, yeah, that's the synopsis according to letterboxd.com. And so Rio Bravo, I said earlier, directed by Howard Hawks. He did Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, His Girl Friday, Scarface, Bringing Up Baby, a lot of those kind of quippy dialogue movies from the 40s and 50s. And he also did another Western that's on this list, Rio Bravo, Red River, 1948. Red River, considered one of the absolute classics of the genre. So this was him coming back to the genre in a big way for sure. Written by Jules Furthman and Lee Brackett. They together wrote The Big Sleep. Lee also wrote the first draft of Empire Strikes Back before she passed away in 1978. I think George did a pretty big rewrite on her version, but I imagine there's some seeds of her work in there, absolutely. And she also wrote The Long Goodbye, which is one of my favorites. It's a great movie. It's based on a short story called A Bull by the Tail, which I could not find anywhere. I was looking for it, but that's written by B.H. McCampbell, which is actually Hawks's eldest daughter. So he took a short story written by one of his daughters, went kind of off that, plus what he was taking from High Noon, and put together this movie. It was shot at Old Tucson Studios in Arizona, which is outside of CL Ranch here in Calgary. One of those places they've shot a million Westerns, and this town has been used over and over and over and repainted and removed. And it's wonderful. The sets were built at 7/8 scale to try to make the cast appear larger than life. Something they, famously did in old Westerns for sure. It didn't win any awards to speak of, mostly because, Ben-Hur won everything this year. Ben-Hur won 11 Oscars. So to be a movie from this year, you didn't win any Oscars.
Yeah, you did nothing.
You didn't have a chance.
I feel like you show up knowing that, like, it's Ben-Hur. like every once in a while you're like, I think like, I'm pretty sure like the Crash people were like, well, or no, same Shakespeare in Love. They're like, well, Saving Private Ryan's going to take it. So
right, yeah. And I don't know what the atmosphere was going into those awards, but certainly Ben-Hur. It was Ben-Hur's night.
yeah, a little bit.
No internet at the time, so I think they might have had a little bit more hope than you would nowadays. Nowadays, easily.
Yeah,
this movie is going to sweep, or at least sweep the professional awards as opposed to the artistic ones.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They sometimes, the technical ones are so clear that, like, I mean, I think this year, I mean, we'll probably get into it at some point in this podcast, but the new Paul Thomas Anderson sounds like it's poised to take a lot of awards. It was
one battle
after another, and people are already talking about it. It's only been out for a couple of weeks, and
like a week actually at this point.
So sometimes, some years, it's foreshadowed a bit, but not every time. This didn't make a ton of lists as far as awards and stuff, but there's a British critic named Robin Wood who not only rated this as the top film of all time, Rio Bravo. He wrote a book about it, and you can look up that book if you disagree with his assessment of that. But yeah, #1 film of all time, according to a pretty well-known critic. Quentin Tarantino calls this the best hangout movie of all time. Famously, he used it as like a litmus test for girls he was dating. A little bit.
Well, it's cool enough that you don't miss anything. So
right, and yeah, I think he was like, if you can hang out and like this movie, then you're a good hang. You know, that's sort of a strange.
Well, I'll get my coat and go home now, I guess.
Yeah. And then there's a film critic named A.O. Scott who kind of agrees. He kind of says it's a hangout movie. It's that type of movie where you just kind of want to spend time with this cast, and you want to be a fly on a wall in the rooms with them. So it's sort of kind of that's the impression it's left on the genre, I suppose. And then there's a theme park ride in Madrid. There's a Rio Bravo flume ride, like a Splash Mountain, which may give it the distinction of the only movie on this list that has its own theme park ride. I can't.
Well, there was the Unforgiven Petting Zoo.
Yeah, there's the
pigs, you had to separate them.
You got to separate the pigs. You got to get right down in the mud.
Yeah.
You're in the splash zone.
The splash zone.
Anyway, no. It's that's sort of a weird distinction on this list.
Sorry, folks at home.
Anyway, speaking of theme parks, we're very lucky to be joined today by Disney World annual pass holder, Florida's own Happiness Patrol Zone, Melanie Dean. Melanie, we pulled you out of the galaxy far, far away and into the Old West. Welcome to Horses on Film. Yeah.
Thank you.
When we first mentioned this movie or this project of watching Westerns, you lit up when we were chatting and you went, "Oh my God, Rio Bravo." It's obviously a big part of your growing up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's one of those movies that we watched a lot of. So my grandfather watched a lot of Westerns. And so I remember just from that early age of when your parents are working, so you go and your babysitters are your default grandma and grandpa. So you're under school age, you're under pre-K. I remember coming in and we were watching just so many Westerns. And so I grew up on John Wayne. I grew up on Bonanza. I grew up on The Rifleman. I mean, all this stuff. Or even if, like, again, even to this day, if I start watching one, I don't remember the character or the actor, but I remember the film or remember the plot line. And Rio Bravo was one of those films that we just, even throughout teenage years, adult years, it's one of those movies that we would always watch. And like you guys have known now, my mother's nickname is Stumpy because of this movie. Because my grandfather and my mother would go back and forth, and he would do the John Wayne lines of yelling at her to go get something or go fix a meal or da-da-da-da-da. And she would just start doing something, and there would be times where she would throw something to him and say, "How do you like those apples?" You know, like Stumpy throwing dynamite. And, you know, then like my father or my grandmother would yell, well, you know, "Throw one for me too," echoing Dean Martin. So there was so many quips and lines that I know. So when you guys said that, "Oh, we're doing the Westerns," I'm like, ooh. And then you said Rio Bravo. I'm like, what? I love this movie.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Cut, so.
Yeah, that's so fun. And it's not one that I watched a lot as a kid. Like, I don't remember it as a kid. I definitely remember it kind of post high school. watching this and El Dorado and Rio Lobo and all the ones that are kind of connected to it. How about you, David? You'd seen it before? Or?
I hadn't. I did not grow up with Westerns, which is a bit weird. Given my family's from Canmore, very Western, but also a very multicultural mining town. I'm surprised that I did not watch more Westerns growing up. And so I've never seen it at all. Most of my Westerns in the background, I don't even think we've touched on this, has been radio. Is old radio dramas. And that's where I get most of my Western chops, if you will, from.
That makes sense because you were born in the 30s, right? Is that?
Yes, that's exactly it. I was born in the 30s. You young
Canmore, I don't think has television yet, so radio was all it was. I heard the train's going to come through soon too.
One day.
Sorry to all the Canmore listeners.
There's a movie called The 49th Parallel where they're taking the train across Canada and they go through Canmore, and he says, "There's the three sisters," and they stop in Canmore for what was called at the time Indian Days, and it was it's I mean, a beautiful place and definitely has Western roots. So How about you, Scott? Had you seen it before?
I hadn't seen it up till about an hour before we recorded. So like I finished it. No, that's not even a joke. I was like, I'm pretty sure I know this one. And I put it on. And I was like, I know nothing. And I'm like, I should probably watch it. So it was probably a good thing. No, I hadn't seen it. I had the cast all wrong. One of the things I like Dean Martin, and so it was interesting to see him act against John Wayne. John Wayne likes to like stand there and deliver the lines, and Dean Martin likes to like act the lines and a little more, and that kind of works with his like, coming out of trying to enter sobriety, and that like. There's a scene where he's like, "Look at these hands." I'm like, they're not even shaking. They're just like, "Look at these hands." And I was like, never ending story. Like, look at these hands. And then like that's all I could think of there. And then I was like, is he not going to sing? And then they put a singing number in there.
And then they sang.
There's a lot. I've probably already foreshadowed more than once. This is probably my least favorite on this list currently. Okay. But I see the merit, and I feel like this is one of those films. If like everyone else, or like Mel, when you're younger, if I'd seen this when I was younger, I think I would really have latched onto this. But it's one of those ones where I'm like, I think I had to be there. It's
right.
I show people movies from my youth that I've latched onto, and I can tell that if I take like objectively look at them, I'm like this isn't great. like this is like batteries not included, where it's like, I love that film. That film's great. But every time I'm like, you should watch this film, they're like, what do you like about this film? Like,
that moment when you start showing your kids the movies you grew up on, and the first time they're like, this movie's slow, or I remember showing I think it was the Rankin Bass Rudolph speaking. We were talking about Rankin Bass earlier, but I remember them being like creeped out by it, and even the Muppets. Like I was so excited to show the Muppets to my kids, and they were like, "It's too real." Like they were brought up on CG animation, and the fact that the Muppets had this like texture, they were like, "Oh, it freaks me out," kind of thing. Now they like it. It took them a little while, and they were maybe too young when I was forcing it on them, too young. But you said John Wayne. This is the first John Wayne that we've covered. There's going to be 6 more. He's our most frequent actor on this list.
I picture him as a Western. Like I don't see him in any other genre. I have watched John Wayne films from other genres, but this is John Wayne. Like,
this is John Wayne, and this film, this Rio Bravo, it has that kind of laid back, jaunty, kind of happy-go-lucky to an extent. That even though they're dealing with kind of serious things, and people still get shot, and it's still a violent, in many ways, Western. It kind of has that, like they say, hangout kind of laid back vibe. Is that kind of what your family liked about it, Melanie?
I would think a little bit of that, and as my grandfather and grandmother, so that side's very Italian American, and they still spoke Italian or Sicilian and all that fun. So at one point, it's going to be a lot of that Dean Martin, can do no wrong. So it's an Italian American and something. But maybe it would be a little bit of the laid back piece. I know my mom, she even liked how it was before. Now we have the term woke for everything. Now we watching it today, my husband's like, oh, look, it's woke. Oh, look, it's woke. Because it's a diverse cast in the background. You can see that this is a Western. They're in Texas. There's a lot of people in the background, whether they were Hispanic. I know at least Consuela and Carlos are Hispanic actors.
Oh, yeah.
But in the background, you can see more people, like even the women just kind of doing that they had, it felt like the sets and everything, this little town was lived in. And watching it as an adult, just even recently realizing, oh, the Undertaker, he's Chinese. He's a Chinese immigrant, and he's wearing period appropriate. He had the attire, and he had the braid in the back, and he was just Bert. And I feel like it was Bert. We're going to get that. He's like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, they spoke to him with a certain level of like, let's call him. He's the professional. He knows what to do, and he says, what am I supposed to do with these bodies? And he says, you're the Undertaker. Like you're on it. Like. Yeah, there was definitely a level of professionalism within
respect is the word. Like it never felt he was talking down to him. Even like physically, yes, he was on a horse at the time, I think. But like it always felt like this town, everyone, like a community. One of the things, as Mel was pointing out, is this is our first movie on the list that it pretty much takes place in a town for the most part, the whole film. Unforgiven, we get to a town, but that town feels not as lived in as this. This, like, she's 100% correct. Like this is a community. This is people who know each other, shop on Sundays, do that thing, right? Or shop
and there was rival businessmen, like the businessmen that owned one saloon compared to Carlos's saloon, and there was when the stage came into town, it was a big deal, and when the stage left town, it was a big deal. There was. It definitely felt like a lived-in town, and like to the point of respect, Carlos and Chance were friends. He said, "I'm talking to my friend the sheriff," and they were, John T. brought him his package of those strange red pants that
pantaloons.
They were so alluring. I didn't really understand that, but
you had to be there. I think it's of the time. So
one of my takeaways, I really enjoyed Ricky Nelson, and his it was a role that was originally going to go to Elvis, and it didn't work out with Elvis, and he wanted top billing, which wasn't going to happen over John Wayne. He wanted a ton of money, and then he ended up actually going to the Army, so it wouldn't have worked out schedule wise. But I really liked Ricky Nelson, and I think he turned 18 on the set of this movie.
Oh, wow.
To be that young, but not be the Schofield kid, yakking away. Like he had I think they limited his lines for fear that he wasn't an actor. But it actually kind of added some kind of.
I feel the characters are I think that's a really good comparison. But with Colorado, he knew he was good, and he says that everyone's like they whatever, and every time he brings out his guns, he gets his man. Like it's not. I never felt like he was in any danger ever, because more so than John Wayne gets his butt kicked multiple times throughout this movie.
Yeah,
understandable. Like it's overwhelming odds. But Colorado, whenever he showed up, he played it cool, got it done. Where Schofield Kid was trying to show that he understood everything, but through a shaky foundation, which was easy to see through, and he didn't even know that. And so, I didn't realize he was so young. But
he was young. He was a pop star, so it would be akin to putting like Justin Bieber in a movie as a young man or something like that. He was kind of there to boost ticket sales, and he did that. Like people went to see Ricky Nelson.
And they gave him his song.
Yeah. And interesting, speaking of diss tracks, one of his big hits as an older person was The Garden Party. And that was kind of a diss track to an event that happened. he performed a concert and people were booing because he was playing his new music as opposed to his old music. And so he wrote that song as a response, whereas this was a response to High Noon, which we will cover. We're going to cover High Noon. It's definitely, on a lot of people's top 10 list, if not number one. It's a very good movie, worth watching. But the other one, too, John Wayne, I don't know if he thought this was the end of his Western era, but he wore a specific hat for almost every Western up to this point. And this is the hat he's wearing in this. That's the last time he wears this hat. So he goes off to do more Westerns after, but I almost wonder if, when him and Howard Hawks were sitting down to do this, it was like his Unforgiven. It was his, original swan song to the genre.
This is why I love doing the show. Little facts like that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Learning.
The early internet, there was a 3D animation. It was about like a samurai and a cowboy trying to clean up a town. I've tried to find it again. This is like pre-YouTube. I feel like it could have been like a Pixar thing they put out. It was about a minute long or 2 minutes long. But I realized watching this film, the cowboy is dressed like John Wayne from this. He talks like John Wayne, but I didn't realize he's actually wearing the same. But it has like a Pixar, like almost felt like they're trying to show off like computer animation in the earlier, like that old, 25 years ago, maybe.
Early computer animation stuff.
Yeah. And I didn't realize, and then, watching this, I reminded that again, but also I didn't realize how influential it was on all genres, like not just, like it was a Western with a samurai and the two meeting up and they're doing the comparison that samurais were the Westerns of their area. And he's a lone gunman from a different country kind of thing. And it was interesting to see that. I actually thought John Wayne might've been one of the weaker parts of the film. If I'm going to be honest, I just felt like everyone around him, just kind of like, the Hangout film is probably right, where it doesn't feel like you really can point out one specifically and say, this is, we're here for this. Mission Impossible feels like the Tom Cruise movie. This didn't feel like a John Wayne movie. This felt like there's a bunch of people, more like an Ocean's 11 maybe, where there's just a little bit of everyone in there. But when that comes up,
it's a good little team. It's a good little team that they kind of have, and it's sort of a band of misfits too, right? Yeah. Like the guy at the beginning says, "Well, you got this drunk and this guy, like crippled guy, and eventually gets a kid and a gambling woman, and this is kind of his team. He's like, this is all you got, and he's like, it's what I have. I'm going to go with what I have, and this idea." Kind of gets remade again. Like I said, they made El Dorado, they made Rio Lobo, kind of the same idea again. Actually, the John Carpenter movie Assault on Precinct 13.
I've heard it's
is a Rio Bravo remake. So it's sort of a, when we talk about the 7 stories to tell, this is maybe one of it, where you have to protect your town, protect your castle.
310 to Yuma is the same, isn't it?
The
train's coming in and they're trying to get him on the train.
There's more of a ticking clock on that one, but I guess in this case, they're waiting for the marshal to get there and they have to hold him off
for a week,
for 4 to 6 days. Like they don't really.
He said he's day 2. He says we can hold up in the prison and we'll just hold him out for 6 days because they don't seem to want to come into the building. So
right, yeah, exactly. We can just stay here. Melanie, what did you think of Angie Dickinson in this? This is kind of a strong female role against a man who's very much
way too much older. So it never dawned on me, maybe being young, saying, "Oh, there's a definite age gap here," and she's 22. Lady, you could choose better. Get on that stagecoach. Get on it. But the one thing I'm not a huge fan of writing wise is how she really was in a few times just monologued. Like, she just monologued in front of him, and, I mean, I get that he's this, strong silent type or whatever, especially at the end where she's putting her stockings on and stuff, and she's trying to goad him to say anything, and she just sees it as, "Oh, see, you told me you loved me," and, and he's like, even he's like, "No, I didn't." So while it's interesting, I appreciate that she was given all these monologues that she has to perform as a dialogue with somebody who's not talking, that she kind of has a tendency of going in where you could see that she's just rambling and she's just having her own inner conversation going on here, and she's just doing what she can with it. As a character, I'm not going to look up to you as a young child or as an adult. But she gets the job done, and you can see that her heart's in the right place. I did like how she, at least at the beginning, to introduce the character for Feathers, was that she travels along. She's a card player, and how she kind of she's a poker player, so she was calling his bluff on, "What, are you going to search me? Could it be here? These are too tight." So I really appreciated the setup of her character, but
she had some edge to her.
Yeah, I just wanted
sure.
Yeah. And I get for that time, all the female characters going to fall in love with the main, protagonist. But okay, fine.
There's a scene after they clean up. She throws the pot out the window, and Colorado cleans it up, and so she comes in and she's like, "Oh my God, I just helped you murder all these people."
Yeah,
and she keeps saying Colorado after, like, "Oh, Colorado, I need more Colorado," and just like 14, 15 times in a row. And I don't know if that was her being like, "I'm shocked by what just happened," but I feel like this is a character that might have seen this before, based on her background.
Yeah, like I feel like she's had her share of run-ins and scrapes with the law, and she's kind of always on the edge of the thing, but maybe not a full-on gun down like that before. I think she was a little rattled. She kind of got a little fainty, and she medicated with whiskey, and maybe that didn't
I was hoping for more of a Jodie Foster from Maverick feel, where it was more of a like I'm aware this is an act, you're aware this is an act, but who we're playing in front of doesn't. So let's like that felt very more playful. I'm wondering if Jodie Foster from Maverick is actually influenced from this. I don't doubt that's probably true.
It's very possible. Yeah.
I wanted more of the like card playing when she was talking, like Mel pointed out, when she's talking about where the cards are. She understands the game. like she gets I feel like she would put him somewhere where pointing them out wouldn't be obvious if she was the one. And I did like the fact that she wasn't. I was expecting that was going to be the arc, and it wasn't. So
although I still got the impression she was working with that gentleman.
100%.
Absolutely.
Or could tell that he was at the table doing that thing, and she could play off of that. I also like that she kind of, she got a few jabs in. I mean, all that dialogue and those long monologues is very Howard Hawks, and it definitely comes from his other genres for sure. But I like that she did get her little wins in along the way, and kind of wore down John Wayne's character to the point where he did kind of turn into a bit of a puppy dog around her.
It's interesting, as John Wayne softened, her professional attire changed as well. She comes in the business, like a little suity kind of thing.
Yeah,
dress up a little more. At the end of it, he's got her in her underwear, really, let's be honest. And but every time there's this informalness, and I think it is a visual indication of their relationship, where
it felt like she was really seeking his approval in a lot of cases,
multiple times. Yeah,
like when she took the job at the saloon, and even when she had that outfit on at the end, like you say, basically in her underwear, she wanted him to not approve of it.
100%.
She was looking for that reaction in a way that maybe goes against how strong she really was as a character. But what about music? I always love that moment where they are hanging out and they do have some time to kill in the jail, and they sing a couple songs. In my opinion, that could have happened more. Like, Dave, do you think this would have been a better movie with music throughout?
Honestly, and I take this from someone who loves a musical. I wish it hadn't. I mean, you've got these big musicians. Yes, this is going to happen. And I think, my opinion, I don't love this era of country music, so that might also color that.
The call and response country music.
Yeah. Like it didn't work for me. I made a note saying, unnecessary musical break.
I was wondering if it would be if it would hit right in your musical heart, or if it would be unnecessary. Nope. Yeah.
It's, and like I said, I wish I did love it more. And I understand the optics of why they did it, but I wish it wasn't there. This I had the same opinion of this movie as a whole as I think we're going to see a lot of me saying over the course of these movies. It would have been tighter at 90 minutes.
Yeah,
it's
now that's the next thing. We can get back in the music in a bit, but the length of it, especially coming off the Bodikers that are 78 minutes, this is 141 minutes, and it feels like 141 minutes.
Yeah.
The musical scene comes in so late that it feels like an addition, and I feel like that was part of like getting Ricky and Dean in there, but it is at a time when we're building tension up, and they've already done this like interludes. We keep coming away from the main, like into B plots. And so it just feels like it grinds the film to a halt. We sing a song. Yeah. Beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's not my favorite music, but it was fine. Call and response. And then we start up again. And I'm just like, pacing and editing, but that's of it. It's of its time, this style.
And I think they're trying to show that it's like the professionals needed to show that it was this journey, this long journey. I think this needed to show that they were really killing time, as this threat looms and they're waiting for the marshal. They had a lot of time to kill, which is a good excuse to throw in a little musical interlude.
For me, I think one song was fine. I love My Rifle, My Pony and Me. But the second song I don't think needed to happen. I was good with them having the song because they are holed up, and they're going to be holed up for 6 hours with the windows closed and everything. So what else are they going to freaking do?
And he tells them to go get his stuff. Bring your guitar.
Guitar. Yeah. And even then, I liked how it was filmed with Dean just, on his back and just kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to start singing. So you could see like it's just, okay, I have nothing else to do. Ricky's playing his guitar, Stumpy's playing the harmonica. And I liked that the one kind of like the little mini jam. But then when they kind of say, okay, well, Ricky, you Colorado, go ahead and sing some more. That's when I'm kind of like,
I wonder if it's at that point it's a contractual thing.
It's okay. We got to show Ricky Nelson.
Yeah, exactly. We want to sell some records. Now I know High Noon has a song in it, and if this was and that song was peppered throughout the whole movie, it won an Oscar, I believe. It was a big part of the marketing of High Noon was this very popular song. I wonder if they were trying to trump that and send something rocketing up the charts from their movie too.
And knowing that it was almost Elvis definitely kind of reinforces that theory.
Right. That they really wanted a hit song out of this movie. I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. I almost want to see it. I almost want to hear what is he singing these same songs? Is he singing different songs? And if Elvis music wise doesn't feel country to me. So I feel like it would be like a very like different vibe for that scene if it was Elvis.
Yeah, I think there was also worry too from John Wayne that when you're sharing the screen with Elvis, not only is it harder to be top billing against Elvis, it's hard to be the big man in the frame because Elvis was such a presence and he was so wildly popular, and I think it was actually a very good choice to not have Elvis in there. I don't know if this goes down as a classic with Elvis in it. It would just be another Elvis
for a different reason. It would probably be one of those like cult classics to the Elvis fans, obvious, but like I don't think it would make this list, the top 100, if Elvis was in it. Personally,
no, I think it becomes a Howard Hawks John Wayne Western. without Elvis, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. And I think Howard Hawks' John Wayne Western is enough of a reason to have it on this list. That said, it also has this fandom, that has carried for almost 60 plus years now. So and I think part of that is the music too.
Yeah. I think there's a nostalgia to that music.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find a lot of young people who like, oh, I love that old country music. But people who grew up with it and remember it with their grandparents and remember it with their parents have a nostalgia to it, as well as maybe they also like it on its own, but you don't have the same experience, the same lived experience with that kind of music now.
That music is like in Shawshank Redemption when he's playing like I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. I'm pretty sure that's the track. Is that kind of, that genre of music has this like, it feels Western to me, not unlike modern music, country music. It feels like it's a guitar leaning against a tree while we watch the herd go by kind of thing.
Around the campfire. This is
music.
It's actually Western music.
Yeah. I listen to 50s country all the time. Even for someone my age, I think, when I'm driving my wife and her friends somewhere, that the first thing they say is, okay, you can drive, but don't put on Hank Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I, definitely that is my style of country. I do love the kind of campfire,
the twangy
cowboy thing. Yeah, definitely. I wonder, you said it, nostalgia. I wonder too, if even at the time it hit a nostalgic tone with the audience, because My Rifle, My Pony and Me was adding lyrics to the theme from Red River. So the song actually first appeared in Red River, and then they added the lyrics to it in this. So I wonder if there was a certain part of the audience that was like, Red River was my favorite in 1948. Now it's 1959, and the music's reminding me of that.
Are you accusing this of being an Easter egg?
I don't know.
Is this a Western? Like, hey, folks,
it's the same composer.
This
maybe
one.
That's the thing. Yeah. But also the Mexican song, which I can't remember how to pronounce it. El del Gula. I'm not going to do it. Maybe someone who took Spanish in high school can say it. But the song that they play is kind of a call to arms to our heroes. That turns up again in the Alamo, because it was actually the song that they played at the Alamo, which was the story here. So there's kind of music throughout that threads through other movies and stuff. One day I'll know how to pronounce Spanish words, and it'll be.
It's like the beginning of the MCU.
Yeah.
What song is?
John Wayne, I'm putting together a posse. Like it's.
No, that was The Professionals. We went through that already.
Yes, we're through that one.
We went through. We're building the team.
Okay. Sorry, my bad.
All right. Do you guys want to get into our horse count? What do you think on this one? So, Melanie, we do a horse count. It's either no horses, some horses, lots of horses, all the horses. What do you think? Where do you think this ranks on that?
For me, it's all the horses. And looking at what you're looking at word, I would pronounce it as El de Guejo. But that's how I would attempt it.
You know what?
Kinda
closer,
because the two L's
champion of the podcast, Mel.
So
every time I say it, I'll just edit in Colorado saying it, so that it sounds like I'm saying it properly.
I thought you were gonna have like a little like bubble pop up, and it's Mel being like, it's pronounced this way.
It's
like pop up video.
But no,
I can barely pronounce words that are in English at this stage.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
No, you're awesome.
So you say all the horses, because there were a lot of horses, especially at the opening. with the wagon train coming in, or the wagons coming in. The middle of the movie and the end of the movie was a lot on foot.
Well, he got spooked also in the beginning by a donkey, so that made me happy. Because over there going the dark street, and then they're like, "Oh, there's somebody," and it was Wheeler. And they're like, "Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going." There was a door, and they're like, oh, "What?" And then donkey's head popped up, so he gets an extra for multi-species.
We get some extra donkey points.
Exactly.
How about you, Dave? Where do you think it sits on the?
I think it's squarely on the some horses range, because as you said, a lot of it does take place on foot. We had a lot of horse at the beginning and a little bit of donkey, but we don't get it throughout. There's certainly not more horses than men, which is kind of my personal other addition to the rating system. But it is, there's horses. It's a Western. There's horses.
There's a lot of interiors in this too.
Yes,
like a lot more of interiors. Especially coming off the Bedecker films where there, and the Professionals, where they were on a venture across the frontier. This is the most interior movie we've covered for sure. The most sets, the most interior scenes. The concern, I guess, with that is that it gets a lower horse rating with those interiors. What do you think, Scott? Like, do you think you'd still
the high end of none is, or the low end is some?
So we have all the horses and an almost none.
I think as the guest, Melanie doesn't realize like the other films and to compare where I think we are comparing to what, because I think Dave's explanation, I can see where Mel's coming from 100%.
Oh yeah. Totally.
There's a lot of especially when the Wheeler comes to town, they're all on horseback. There's so many horses there. But
yeah, from that I would say lots of
even when they try to come in, and because I was also thinking the scene when they come in and they get dude and they hog tie him basically, and and John T's, and there's horses back there, and then as they're running and the puck gets thrown, Colorado kills them, blah blah blah, and the one jumps on the horse and goes running. And he's able to get that rifle shot off of just hitting the guy, and the horse keeps going. In my mind, I love the fact that he goes quick. He tells, I think it was Carlos, go get the horse. I was like, get that horse. We're not losing horses.
Yeah.
He comes back with a dude's horse. I was like, yay.
When he's got dude down on the one end, but you got the guy, because they've switched places because he's hogtied and he's trying whatever. And all I can picture is like, I don't think my comm is working. And it's just like from Star Wars. And that's all I had in my head watching this, being like, oh, his comm's not working. That's why you can't talk to him.
And dude gets another hat because Stumpy blew the first one to pieces. Then the other guy steals this one, so he gets the red guy's hat.
Yeah, they're like, he left it behind. It's yours now.
There you go.
Yeah,
he switches hats a lot in this one.
And he talks about taking the money from the pockets and giving it to him too, right? It's lucrative to be a sheriff. I am finding out eventually. So,
and another thing at the beginning of this movie, and we haven't got into a silent film yet, but we will get to silent films on this list, at some point. There's a very long sequence, which I think was Howard Hawks' ode to the silent era, where there's really no dialogue and just a little bit of sound effect, and that's kind of a big moment because that's where the bad guy murders somebody, and that's what kind of starts this whole thing. And the idea of dude, just thirsty for that money so that he can get drunk, that so much so that he'd reach in a spittoon full of tobacco and spit to get it out, and that kind of came up a few times too. Yeah. But did that strike anyone?
I loved that sequence.
Yeah.
It really, I think it takes a special sort of filmmaking to be able to pull it off. And it did.
It's funny because the come to Jesus moment later on is all about that moment. When he's like, next time, someone throws $1 in the spittoon, don't turn to me. It's yours. like I'm not going to stop it. And then very quickly he goes, yeah, you're right. Almost actually kind of like Angie Dickinson at the end of the film. It feels very similar, where it's just like a very quick conversation overall, and you're like, you're 100% right. I should leave my morals at the door. And it was with like John Wayne feels almost like Yoda in this multiple times, where it's just like, you know better, Stumpy. You can't come with me, that bum leg of yours. And he's like, yeah, you're kind of right, but I also, I'm going to be a Jedi one day. Like it's just like
there's one of the arguments that they had against High Noon was that, and again, that article, a lot has been said about it, and we'll get into it more when we talk High Noon, I think. But that interview that John Wayne did with Playboy in the 70s, where he argued against High Noon, even in that, it wasn't the VHS era. He probably hadn't seen the movie for over a decade, and he got details wrong. He says that, the men and women were sitting on opposite sides of the church, or that even that Gary Cooper threw this badge on the ground and then stepped on it. And to step on the U.S. Marshal badge was un-American. He never steps on it. Like there's just little kind of Mandela effect mistakes that he made in his recounting. I'm curious if he, some of these calls to, if even in 1959, of a few years later, were they wrong about the message of High Noon to begin with? The idea that, he was going around and asking for help, and no one would help him. And then in this one, they really wanted to show that he was a sheriff that didn't need help. But in the end, he really did need their help. He needed on multiple occasions.
The point of the movie is friendship.
Yeah.
Right. It's about working together and putting together this team, and that was willing to do what they needed to do, and telling Stumpy it's not worth coming because he can't move around. And then it was Stumpy throwing the dynamite that ended the whole thing. So, maybe it's a little bit about underestimating people.
What do we give this for ratings?
Are we going to ratings? Let's go to ratings.
Okay.
So let's start with Mel because she's going to have the highest rating.
Of course. I don't know, but how does your rating
go?
So
we're going out of 5, and you can do
5.
half stars too.
Absolutely not. I'm going 5.
Yes.
I'm going 5 because I absolutely adore this movie, clearly because I've seen it since I was but a wee little Mel. But even with my latest watching of it today, I now can appreciate it as an adult, and I can watching Dean Martin with, granted, the hands, he wasn't really doing too good with the shaking of the hands. But when he's on the horse and he's getting short with John T., and when he jumps up on the horse and you can see his back is in. He's tensing his muscles. I'm getting a much bigger appreciation for him because there's all these little micro the nuances he's doing that wasn't a thing in acting back then, really. Not like now where the camera's really up there and we want to see your micro expressions. He's kind of doing them. And I'm sorry, Mr. Wayne, but he's out acting you. I mean, good Lord, sir.
Yes.
Because really, I mean, he's showing pain. And just there's a lot of time where he's scrunched up and whatnot. And I had like a much more appreciation of that in the background. And even with Ricky Nelson, to your point, like this is really his first real acting gig. He's only 18, we're technically 17 at some point during this filming. You could see that, okay, they didn't give him much lines, but directing wise, be cocky. You don't talk. So in the background, you're watching him. He's watching everything. He's engaging with all the other actors who's got something to do, but he's not just like, just breathing in air and on a background. And every other actor is doing that too. All the backgrounds that are uncredited, they're engaging, they're looking, they're kind of. So yeah, I absolutely adore this movie. 5 stars.
I love it. And it really is character over plot. Even though there is a plot, it really is it reminds me of those things where, certain movies you see where it's like, okay, yeah, we really rehearsed, we really got together, we really like worked out scenes, and definitely like found ways to like build these characters into something truly lovable. They really truly are lovable. Like is there a more lovable character than Walter Brennan as Stumpy? And Walter Brennan steals every movie he's in anyway, but I don't know if there's a better role than Stumpy in this. I'm at 4 stars for sure. I think I'm going to work this around so that we get from highest to lowest. So
I think it probably will work
I'm on a curve, and that's where I'm at.
We got 5. I'm 4, and I've very few issues with this movie. I think it's incredibly rewatchable. It's easy breezy. It's it does kind of still deal with those Western elements. I love like we said earlier with the town. I love that it's a lived in, livable town. I can see the threads from this to other movies, and not just the remakes, but even Star Wars and certain movies. You can see that the threads going through from this out into like, it's sort of like, when they say you want to make a popular movie, you just remake Toy Story 2 because it has all the right elements of action, adventure, and everything.
Snakes and boots.
I think this is a movie where if you want something that's going to be popular, remake this movie. That it just hits the right notes of a fun time at the movies and in the Old West. Dave, what do you think?
I think if this had, and again, I'll say it again, if it had been 90 minutes, I think I would have given it 4 stars. But as it stands, I appreciate this movie. I appreciate even the things that I didn't necessarily love about it. I appreciate, but I'm giving it 3 stars.
3 stars. 5.
Unforgiven 3.
3.
I guess you're right on this one. I do like the opening credits again. I mentioned in the last one where it's just a long shot and then the credits, and I like how Howard Hawk, his name was in cursive where everyone else was just like, so his name stands out on top of the fact that it's directed by. I like that Dean Martin was the one to find the guys in the rafter, and he puts it together with the cop. I didn't like the fact he's like, how'd you figure out he was out there? And they to us, I guess, that they show the cup, and the cup is red at that point because I think they've left it and the dye is really like mixed in. I have 2 stars on my plate. I want
2 stars. Okay.
2 stars. I know it's and I feel really bad. I'm sorry, but
that's all good. Like, we're trying to get again.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's just like, so. I think what it is the same thing I said about Unforgiven. Is I will say with this, Unforgiven to me, it was a line in the sand movie where it's just like, this is what country or like Westerns are now, right? I feel like this. So I haven't seen High Noon. The more we talk about it, the more I realize that is not one on my list. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, especially the comparisons. But I feel like the more like watching it, I understand this is a line in the sand kind of movie-ish for Westerns at that time. Especially having seen the other ones that have come after it, I can like your Threads comment, 100% correct. I think if Dean Martin was more of the star, not the sheriff, I think he's Dean Martin in this case is kind of like a Jared Leto. And I know that's a weird comparison, but I don't like Jared Leto as the lead. I like him as whenever he's the second. Fight Club, Lord of War, Dallas Buyers Club, like Morbius, he was the main one. So, but like, hopefully he's in Tron. He's also a secondary support. But like, supporting role. Yeah. Like I think he does that really well, and he understands that role. And I think Dean Martin fully understands that role here. But I find his character a lot more interesting. And I don't know if it's because John Wayne's so stone faced and just like I don't buy Claudia. I keep saying Angie Dickinson because I can't remember the character, but I think it's Claudia.
Angie Dickinson. Oh, what's her character name?
That's just it. I can't.
Feathers.
Feathers. Oh, Feathers. Yeah. No, Feathers is right. Feathers is right. That's what they refer. I don't see her fall in love with this dude. There's like, I don't. There's a really, in my opinion, there's a really good movie about waiting 7 days to like you're kind of waiting out 7 days with this impendingness. And the movie Seven, obviously, like I know it's, but every day it says Monday we're dealing with this, Tuesday we're dealing with this, and that really helped with the pacing of that movie. But that's also a newer movie. This one I've never felt like it never felt long because we're waiting. It felt long because the runtime.
And I wonder if they would have made a bigger deal about saying like the movie Patterson, where there's a screen that says Monday, and then if they made a bigger deal about, hey, last night I slept here. Like they talk about every time they go to sleep and every time they wake up, kind of, but they could have been like, we've got 4 days, we've got 3 days, we've got 2 days, we can hold them off. Yeah, they could have put like almost a ticking calendar on it. To kind of make the runtime feel
I feel like, honestly, the cards, like you mentioned there, would have actually made me like the film more. It would have given me one of the things when I watch a film I keep in mind is how long it takes me to check my watch. Because like in a theater or something, my watch is dark, I'll look at my watch and be like, oh, like Dune, the second one, it took me like 70 minutes before I was like, cool, we're in this for a while. And a lot of that is because I understand the runtime of the film, because I know that that I'm okay, which act are we in? How close am I going to get my answers? Here I had no clue. Like it just felt like
well, I think it's because it was kind of little tableau scenes of them hanging out
like that.
It kind of, I wonder if they were just like, how do we cut this scene? We can't cut that scene. Oh, they're so cute in that scene, we got to keep that scene. But it didn't necessarily have like it wasn't a plot driven.
No, it kind of felt like a variety show.
It's a hangout movie.
Yeah. That's the Star Wars holiday special of Westerns. Where we're just showing a little bit. The musical makes sense when you think of it that way. It really does.
We're all connected.
We just need Wookiees and
I wouldn't go that far, but we'll that's another show.
Spoiler for another podcast, I guess. But this will be out after that, I think. So but
I think so.
Like where we're just anthologies 2.5 hours into one movie. Like I was watching a thing on Captain N today, and they're like, hey, Captain N and the Game Master was just like bits and pieces from all these shows they tried and thought failed. And they're like, let's glue it together. And they released it. And that's what this feels to me like. Okay, it's, like we've done segment A through D. It's time for the music guest. And then we get a music. And then we're like, oh, crap, there's a film too. We should probably go back to that too.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of the reason why they went back to this well. And I've alluded to this. Let's get into movies from off the list. So El Dorado and Rio Lobo were both kind of remakes of this, where they just kind of went back to the same recipe of, there's someone in a jail and we have to hold off the bad guys coming in while you're like stalling for time kind of. And they are really swell hangout movies, and I really enjoy El Dorado. It's got James Caan. And, that, it kind of, he elevates it. And I find that as they kind of rework who the other actors are around John Wayne, it does elevate here and there. Not always the case. I think of the three, Rio Bravo is the best of the three for sure, in my opinion. And then when you get into things like Assault at Precinct 13, that one, it's a modern, modern for the time take on the story. What they were missing that Rio Bravo has, I think, is a purpose for the bad guys. Whereas in this, they're wealthy businessmen. As soon as they find out, oh, his brother's in jail, he's not going to like that, and that idea of they're going to bust him out of the jail is sort of, Trump's in Assault at Precinct 13. They're just mad at the police. Yeah, because there's been a murder and they're mad. So they're just attacking without recall. I don't know. It
I feel
doesn't ring as true.
I feel a better use of that whole we have to, and we'll cover it as the proposition. And I brought it up before, but that whole we have your brother, and we kind of want you. In this case, it was more just like we just want to bring him to justice to show you guys aren't above the law. But that like someone's in jail and someone's going to come for them. I feel, and again, that's a newer movie as well, so it's 2007, I think. But that building tension is what I wanted. But I always felt like the Hangout movies, you know what? The more I think about it and the more you say it, the more it's 100% correct, because no one cares. Like it's like it doesn't like it. We're having these moments of vignettes, but like it doesn't. I didn't really don't think anyone cares about the dude in the jail. We're just going to sing some songs now. Like and it just felt like it's like Dean Martin was like a Christmas special, going from scene to scene, being like, okay, we're gonna see about that John Wayne and the Flowers lady. Let's see what they're up to. And then like the camera would pan and they're upstairs being like, he's like, oh, aren't they crazy? Okay, let's see how the guy in the jail's doing. And we get there and we go and the camera pans over and like, man, those are some crazy stories there.
Like, I wonder if it was so popular because that's really what people wanted in that moment in time too. And
I think so. Cause one of the notes I made is this was 1959. It became a bunch of stereotypes, but I don't think it was those stereotypes in 1959. You didn't have the castle defense necessarily. Everyone's, my brother's in jail, I'm breaking him out. Okay, that one was even then was a little bit old in Westerns. That was a pretty standard plot. But, a lot of these things weren't as I won't even say overdone, but weren't done to the extent in 1959 that they have been today. And that was one of the things I appreciate. I had to put in my head, right, this is not, we're not seeing the same thing. You have to put yourself in 1959 to a certain extent for this movie.
There's another movie on this list called Day of the Outlaw. And this is a spoiler alert. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's one of my all-time favorite Westerns. It's 1959 as well. And I remember, I looked at my first Rio Bravo Letterboxd review when I started watching Westerns after joining Letterboxd was, I can't believe this came out the same year as Day of the Outlaw. Because Day of the Outlaw is so, it's just tense and serious. And there's this level of danger of these people that are, we'll get into it big time on that episode, but there's just this real sense of gravitas and terror. And this couldn't be more different, and the fact that it came out the same year goes to show, obviously, you get lots of different tones, and that's what it's up to the filmmakers to decide what kind of movie they want to make. They clearly, I think they knocked this tone out of the park as far as we're going to make a fun, hangout, easy breezy movie about this thing, because Day of the Outlaw couldn't be more different. And even High Noon that they were in response to is a tense, stressful movie, and there is a ticking clock on it, and there is these elements of fear that you don't really have in this movie. So I think this is a successful venture of this movie that they set out to make, for sure.
Even when they're throwing the dynamite, I love the fact that the comedy really is happening, because Chance is yelling, John T is yelling at Stumpy to throw it harder, and he's like, "Come on, you don't have an arm? What the heck?" And he's like, they're bickering back and forth. He throws it, then dude asks him, "Throw one for me," and then when he does it, it takes him 2 shots, and the first thing that happens is John T's like, "It took you 2?" And he's like, "Oh, the wind took it." I absolutely love that banter happens after they had that time in the cell when they're singing and because I really saw that was their bonding moment, and now they're working as a cohesive team even more.
And this is the big shootout. This is the most dangerous moment of the movie. They're literally throwing dynamite. Like, yeah, but they're still ribbing.
You want me to blow up the building? Yes.
They set up the dynamite too with the wagon outside of town thing. I like that was I liked a lot that they
better keep that outside of town in case there's trouble. And
what I find with a lot of these films is they'll set something up just because they think that's just should be, and it never comes back because they're like, it's just Woody, did you drive your cattle in? All 78 of them, boy, and the one got lost, and they'll go on for like 5 minutes, and then like it doesn't pay off anywhere else. It's just we're slowing down to be like, here's some country jargon. And
but this one does, and
this one does.
Yeah. All right. I think we got our ratings. We got everything. We can say next week we're going to number 27 on the list. It's 1974's Blazing Saddles, directed by Mel Brooks, who is 99 years old. So you guys be careful what you say about him. I swear to God, he's got to get Spaceballs done. Maybe we'll just call him the director that we will not name, just to be safe, because our track record is not great. It stars Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little. 93 minutes. It's a comedy. It's widely considered the best Western comedy. It's one of those things that if you made a list of the top 100 Westerns and you didn't put Blazing Saddles on, no one would take you seriously. I don't know if I love this movie. I'm going to watch it. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it leading up to recording, and we'll see if I'm won over by it. But I do know, I mean, there's the running joke. You could never make Blazing Saddles nowadays because Mel Brooks owns the copyright or whatever. Everyone has their version of that joke. But it's definitely of a time, making fun of another time. Does the humor translate to 2025? We'll see.
I actually love that Mel Brooks just understands the moments and just goes, okay, let's just like make like a journal encyclopedia. This is the moment when he makes his films. This is what's going on, and you can see it in all the films. And it's I'm looking forward to that discussion.
Yeah, same.
Have you seen that one in a while, Mel? Or
I can probably start reciting from the very beginning right now.
I love it.
I love that movie.
I feel like that movie is a hangout movie too. Actually, now when you're saying it, I'm like, but like
background, put it on,
but in a very different tone.
Very different tone.
Yeah. All right. Absolutely. Well, we'll see. Okay. Well, let's start with you, Dave. Where can we find you out in this world?
All right. So generally speaking, you can find me at youtube.com/therathole.dotca. I stream board game related content. We've got miniature painting, all that sort of thing. On Sundays, you can find me on Spill the Geek Tea at Spill the Geek T1. Tuesdays on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And the first Thursday of every month on The Happiness Patrol, along with all three of these other panelists, youtube.com/@happinesspatrolshow. So if you want to hear more of the four of us talking, that's the place to do it.
Talking Star Wars on Happiness Patrol. Melanie, other than Happiness Patrol, where can we find you?
You can also find me talking about Doctor Who on Earth Station Who. So you can find that on Facebook. I'll look up just anywhere on the socials there. I'm just bumping around whenever someone wants me to be in this little square and chit chat. I'm always there. Otherwise, you can kind of follow me here. Pieces of Melee, either on Instagram mostly, and then I can like promote where the heck I'm going to be. But here I am.
Podcast superstar for hire.
I just show up. I'm just I'm the pitch hitter for a lot of different shows.
I love it.
You'll just click through like, hey, isn't that what's her face? Like, yeah, here I am with an opinion.
You're the connection.
I feel like that's some news myself.
She's the running thread. Absolutely.
The podcast cinematic universe.
Yeah. And how about you, Scott? Where can we find you?
Breakfast Scotch National, like usual. That one's my big one. I also do the Joy Squad podcast with the other three. It's really enjoying going through these movies. Actually, I just want to throw that out there. Especially this is my first fairly low rating, but like I'm happy to be doing this and seeing like this history of cinema. Like it's not my number one love, but I like cinema and being able to go back and actually be like, yeah, I have read that, or I've seen that, or I've heard that, and be able to actually say yes, to the point where I'm like, I put it out in the world what I thought of it actually. Like, so
absolutely. And obviously these are the top, it's someone's opinion that these were the top 100 Westerns. So they're generally going to be good. But it doesn't mean we're going to like every one of them. And it doesn't mean that, even if they were the right movie for the moment, it doesn't mean that it's going to hit with us now here making our list, and we'll be able to go back and maybe reassess things after we see other things and stuff. But
leave your comments in the comments below.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Yeah. I'm Cameron. You can find me obviously at letterbox.com, Cameron Chapman. There's also a letterbox for the show, which is letterbox.com, Horses on Film. We're here at youtube.com at Horses on Film. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, you want to make fun of my hair, you want to tell us that Dave's wrong about Unforgiven, or that Scott's wrong about Rio Bravo, you feel free to email us at horsesonfilm@gmail.com. Maybe we'll get some, maybe it'll be a type of thing where we're reading comments live. But once these start airing, we're still in our preamble recording process. But yeah, definitely comment. Let us know what's your favorite Western. What's on your list. I think in the end, this is going to shake out to be kind of a middle of the road rating, even though we ran the gamut. So we'll see where it shakes out in the top 100 in the end. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. I love that we're going through these movies. I love that we're exploring the American West. And, it looks like the sun is sinking in the West. And it's time for this cowboy to dream. So good night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.